Hello, a very good morning. You are very welcome along to Ireland AM. It is Wednesday, the 23rd of August. We've got a pretty action-packed show for you this morning.
Not just packed, action-packed, yes, for positive parenting. Two amazing athletes. We've got it all.
We sure do. We're going to chat through the new trend that has got a foothold in parenting, the parenting world online, that prioritises hugs over harshness. It is called gentle parenting. Let us know, are you into the more softly, or is it more about crack the whip?
Yeah, you were feeling a bit guilty last night, were you? Going, oh my God, what am I doing wrong?
Everything wrong.
We're going to be speaking to a journalist who investigated just how easy it is to buy injectable fillers online. You can just type it in, get someone to deliver it to your house, and you don't have a clue what's in them. So
Did you go to bed thinking you're doing it all wrong last night too?
All the time.
Plus, radio.
It's been a fun one today, hasn't it? And it's only 1 minute past 7.
Tracy Clifford talks, putting the spotlight on new emerging artists.
Alan! Get away from me, you. Go on. What else is coming up?
I'm telling you, I just have a feeling we're in for one this morning. Now, our gadget guy recommends the best back-to-school gizmos that you didn't know that you even needed. Plus, we've got a tasty toffee treat in the kitchen with Captain Layden and alluring autumn outfits on the catwalk. Now, Derek's hitting the ground running this morning. You're in Tala, Derek. You're not far away. What are you up to today?
Not too far away at all, Al. We're hitting the ground running, is right. We're down here in the home turf of Rhasidat Adeleke, just outside the village at the moment. It's a dry and settled start. Some nice bright spells, that mixture of sunshine and light scattered showers. A little bit fresher, a little bit cooler out there today. But as we mentioned, Rhasidat Adeleke, her 400-metre final kicking off in Budapest at the World Athletics Championship later on tonight. The hopes of a nation rest upon her shoulders later on tonight. We're going to be catching up with some of her former teammates and her coach later on today. But for now, guys, it's a party for one in Tala. Is anyone coming down to join me?
I'm sure everybody will be joined with you very shortly, Derek. And we are all 100% behind Rhasidat, of course, tonight. That's
Derek's version of Tinder, just waving a flag in the middle of a road in Tala.
And poor Ciara McGeehan coming fourth yesterday, setting a personal best. Yeah. Amazing. Loved it.
But looking forward to tonight. We'll be chatting about it in just a little while. But right now, let's go over to the Virgin Media News Hub and say hello to the first time this morning to Anne O'Donnell.
Thanks, Maureen. Good morning. Well, a war of words has broken out between the organisers and the governing body of the Ironman event, in which two competitors died at the weekend in County Cork. Well, organisers say that it was hours after the swim section of the event was completed when they happened to be informed that the race should not be going ahead. However, Triathlon Ireland is insisting that it told race organisers before the race got underway. Elsewhere, Gardaí are due to meet with business representatives and Dublin City Council members today following a number of assaults in the Dublin city centre area. Well, yesterday, the Minister for Justice, Helen McEntee, confirmed that armed response units will be deployed in the capital in response to the rise in attacks.
I understand concerns that business have. I've met with representatives from a number of different groups that represent a number of businesses across the city centre. I've gone into a number of businesses in areas where they have experienced difficulties. So I do understand there are a number of issues that they want and need a response to. From a policing point of view, it is that greater visibility, it is that greater presence. It's making sure that crime is prevented as well as where incidents arise, that there was a quick response from An Garda Síochána. And I cannot commend and thank the Gardaí enough for the work that they do, and in fact for the quick response that has been given to recent incidents that we've seen over the last few weeks.
There was relief in Pakistan when all 8 people trapped in an e-cable car, which was suspended high above a canyon, have been rescued. Well, Army commandos dangled from helicopters to pluck the 6 children and 2 adults from a broken cable car. Well, there were fears during that rescue that wind generated by the helicopter blades could have further weakened the remaining cables holding the car aloft in what was a 14-hour-long ordeal.
Initially, there were 8 of us inside the cable car. When we reached the middle, the cable snapped and it dangled. We were scared and upset. The whole day was spent in fear.
Elsewhere, firefighters in Greece are trying to get large wildfires in the northeast of the country under control. At least 18 people have died in the fires.
The wildfires in Greece are being made worse by gale force winds and high summer temperatures, which are expected to last for a number of days. The flames in the northeast of the country have forced the evacuation of 13 villages and several homes, as well as a hospital. The fire risk level for several regions, including the wider Athens area, is still described as extreme. A number of people have died in the fires. It's thought some of the victims may be migrants who had entered the country from the nearby border with Turkey. Greece is not the only country battling more wildfires. Fires are still burning in parts of Spain, Portugal and Italy. After the record temperatures last month, Italy is once again advising people to stay indoors during the hottest hours of the day and has again issued red alert heat warnings, this time for 16 cities. Marie Mulcahy, Virgin Media News.
And India could become the first country to land near the moon's little explored South Pole today. Well, the Indian Space Research Organisation has confirmed that its spacecraft is on schedule for landing today. And in the process, it has already captured some stunning visuals. Well, if successful, this mission will mark the very first soft landing on the lunar surface by an Indian spacecraft.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Thank you, Jerry, and a very good morning. We're live here down in Tala in South County Dublin, the home turf of Rhasidat Adeleke. And coming up later on this morning, we're going to be catching up with her former coach and club teammates down at Tala Athletics Club. So that's all to come in and around 8:45 later on this morning. So do hang with us for that. Now, we're slipping past 7 o'clock here together. Let's take a look weather-wise at how it's shaping up with Jason O'Reilly with us on cameras once again. And it's a dry and settled start here in South County Dublin. Elsewhere, right across the central belt of the country, a lot of you waking up to some really nice bright spells through that cloud cover. But to top and tail the island, we're seeing plenty of showers through parts of the north, Donegal, Derry, through parts of County Antrim and across southern sections. In fact, that overnight system of rain just skirting along the southern coast of Cork, through parts of Waterford as well. So stay nice and dry if you're in that neck of the woods in those moderate to locally fresh south to southwesterly winds. Now across the day, not a bad one in store. We're going to see that mixture of sunshine and scattered showers. Quite limited in terms of those bright breaks as the day progresses, with that cloud cover taking hold for many areas. A bit fresher, a little bit cooler too in terms of those temps. Top valleys of around 17 to 20 degrees. And right across into tonight, looks like a dry and settled start, but we will see showers then build through parts of the northwest, bringing with them a system of rain tracking southeastwards across the country into tomorrow, with overnight lows at 7 to 10. So that's how it's shaping up here in Tallinn, South County Dublin at the moment. We'll be back again live 7:35.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Independent. Its headline: Irish electricity bills €900 higher than EU average. Bills here are 80% higher than the European Union average, with prices of electricity in Dublin the highest of all the 32 capitals in Europe surveyed by the Household Energy Price Index.
US Ironman Group and Irish body clash over race status. That's the front page of the Irish Times. Both groups are divided over the status of the race, which began in rough seas on Sunday. Triathlon Ireland state the decision to not sanction the race was communicated to the US group before the race began, but Ironman contradict this assertion, saying they were only informed hours after the swim finished.
The Examiner also covers this story with war of words over Ironman fatalities. Ivan Chittenden and Brendan Wall both tragically lost their lives after getting into difficulty during the swim off Yole's front strand on Sunday morning.
The Sun similarly leads with terror and chaos on death swim. Cork County Council have denied responsibility for the death of the two men in the Ironman swim. The Gardaí said that they are not carrying out a criminal probe into the incident.
The Star leads with no more running riot. The Garda riot squad, backed up by armed police units, is to be deployed onto the streets of Dublin to tackle violent crime blighting the city. The Garda chiefs revealed they will use €2 million worth of government funding to fully deploy the unit.
The Herald goes with boy saw granddad battered with iron bar. A young boy was one of 4 people held against their will in a violent home invasion in Monkstown on Monday morning, during which their grandfather was beaten with an iron bar.
Backlash over plans to make NCT test cashless is the top story on the Daily Mail. The national car test is to introduce the new rule soon in a bid to cut down on the number of appointment no-shows at its testing centres.
And finally, the Mayor goes with a public execution. RTE star John Brennan from the show At Your Service slammed Kevin Backhurst for his public execution of Ryan Tubridy, stating the broadcaster will lose public trust for the way it ditched him. Tubridy, of course, had agreed to return to his Radio 1 show next month on a reduced €170,000 salary, but, well, it didn't happen.
It isn't good.
For the minute. So that's up to Kevin Backhurst. That's still in the paper. Anyway.
Alan called it at 7:01. He's like, there's some funny juju in the studio this morning. Now, coming up, we're going to look at something. We're going to take a deep dive into the dark side of Ireland's cosmetic industry.
See you after the break.
I know. We'll get it together.
Thanks for staying with us now. The quest for youthful skin has led to a rise in popularity and demand for dermal fillers and other non-surgical cosmetic treatments.
However, regulation around these fillers is extremely lacking in this country and many other countries around the world because it's all moving so quickly. Yeah. And joining us to discuss this is journalist Ellie O'Byrne and dermal nurse specialist Patricia Malloy. Thank you both so much for being
here. Good morning.
Because Ellie, I know you wrote an article, a very interesting article in The Examiner about this and how easy it is to get. But Patricia, what are dermal fillers?
Well, dermal fillers mainly are hyaluronic acid, which are injected into the skin.
Oh.
You know, the most popular areas would be lips, cheeks, chins, temples, anywhere really in the face can be injected into.
OK, because we hear about hyaluronic acid all the time. We're kind of always putting it on our skin. So that it's just injected in. It's a more intensive form of it.
Yeah, it's a stronger, because hyaluronic acid actually can't go through your skin. It needs to be injected in. So that's another one. But
so if you're putting it on your skin, it's not penetrating?
It sits on top of the skin. It just hydrates the skin slightly, but it's not actually going to do anything, But this is hyaluronic acid in a gel form that is like a filler.
Okay.
So, Ellie, why did you decide then to start looking into this and see, could you buy them online?
So I started covering this issue actually for The Examiner back in April, and I was writing one big long feature about it, just exploring some of the issues. So I spoke to a beautician, I spoke to someone from the Irish Association of Plastic Surgeons, and I spoke to somebody who gets these procedures done quite a lot. And while I did it, I just Googled, and then I just went, God, I can just buy these myself online right now. And I told my editor, and she's fantastic, and she just went, well, do then. So
get out the card, company card.
So they very kindly gave me a little budget to go off and do some experimentation. So I literally just, there are online stores based in Ireland where you or I, anyone, no medical qualifications, no way of proving anything, can literally just go and buy these things with associated syringes, cannulas, all of this medical apparatus.
What did you buy?
Syringes are here with the stuff.
Yeah, so I bought 3 different products, one of which is just a hyaluronic acid based one with some lidocaine in it to numb the area, and that's preloaded into syringes.
Okay.
So I could just have got them and then just gone to my kitchen table and decided to start.
They're all down here.
This is
everything.
And then I got 2 other products that didn't come with syringes that I would have had to buy separately. One of which I believe is designed to be effective against cellulite, and the other one says that it's designed to be a depigmentation, so to get rid of any little age spots or that type of thing.
So all of these things. So we're talking dermal fillers, things that you're meant to, and that you will inject into your skin.
Yes, intradermal cosmetics,
you could buy, arrive to your house through the post for how much?
It was €214 plus $49.99 VAT plus €99 postage and package.
99?
Yeah.
But for each of them, or just for all, you got all those 3?
That's for all of those.
For all of that?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, Patricia, you're there and you're putting your eyes to heaven because you're going, my God, I can't. Like, can you actually believe that this is true? Because
I can.
And are you hearing about this a lot?
Yes, unfortunately. I mean, yes, this is unbelievable, but it's happening. And it's so, I mean, it's the internet. How do you control that? And people, I know myself, all the nurses I know, all the doctors I know, the amount of training and upskilling we do all the time to keep patients safe, because injecting into the face is so dangerous. There are lots of big arteries, lots of veins going through our face, probably the most vascular area of our body. And if a filler gets into one of those, which can quite easily happen, you can cut off the blood supply to the area. Cut off the blood supply so the skin dies. And you could lose your mouth, you could lose your nose. Even worse, it can travel through your facial artery back up into your eye, and it has called blindness.
It's called blindness.
Yes, but unfortunately, young girls, I mean, I shouldn't just isolate young girls, but people are not aware.
Oh, no, I know there's guys who are doing this as well,
Yeah, it's prolific at the moment. The problem I see is that we just have no regulation. I've been working in this area for 24 years, and I've contacted every Minister of Health in those 24 years. It's not an area of medicine that is well recognised, either from the nursing board, the dentistry board, or the medical board, and that needs to change.
Well, can we talk about, because I think this is, I heard this before from a nurse friend of mine, who a young girl arrived into them. She was about 19 years old, and her lips were gone black.
Yeah.
So she'd bought filler, and she'd injected it herself. So what had happened for her lips to go black?
She most likely injected it into a large vessel. And she would have bruised all over the place, but she could have cut off the blood supply as well. And when it goes black like that, it's become the blood supply to that area is actually gone.
That's the thing. Her lips were going like they were dying.
Yeah, and she would die. And what happens? It is total necrosis. But what happens then is she could go back if, say, she did it herself, or she goes to somebody else who did it who's a non-medic. They can't do anything about it. And that's what's happening. You know, I'll get phone calls from young girls saying, I had my lips done last night and I've an awful lot of pain. I contacted the person and they're saying, oh, no, that's fine. You know, because they haven't got either the expertise or the medication to correct it and to dissolve the problem. So it's a massive problem.
Ellie, can I ask you then, when you went to buy these, was there any, things you had to tick? I'm over 18, I'm an adult. So like a 15-year-old girl or boy could go on, buy these. They're sort of saying, I want to keep looking young.
To be fair,
there's no adult control.
Well, there seem to be some websites where you have to log in, you have to create an account. They ask you if you have a business or that type of thing, and then you have to log in and register with them. There are some websites operating like this. But the one that I got this off, which is based in Dublin, no, absolutely not.
You literally just...
Literally put in your...
Put your credit card details or your PayPal details and that all arrives.
Yeah.
And from talking to people, why are they doing it this way? I'm assuming it's because of cost.
I mean, I'd imagine so. I think that it's very interesting that Patricia says young women, because I think that the trend seems to be towards younger people who maybe have less expendable income doing this, and then they're going to be very tempted by under-regulated or non-trained people, because it's a cost-cutting exercise. There's a huge amount of social pressure coming from social media, coming from like Instagram. If you just Google just put in the lip fillers hashtag, you'll just see thousands.
Social media is certainly driving it, but there are other elements of this as well. We all are all the time looking at it in DANI, the Dermatology and Nurses Association, which is we regulate ourselves because there's no regulation, and we recently got onto one of the English companies that are coming in training non-medics. And we said, the person who did it said, I'm 18 years of age, I've just left school, I really want to get into this. And they said, yeah, no problem. You come in for the day, we will give you insurance and we'll give you a certificate and off you go. And that's a one-day training.
One-day training.
And they can just inject
I'm a trainer and I know the amount of training I have to do with dentists, nurses and doctors.
You'd never get a certificate in one day.
No, and you would have to have a medical registration to come to any of the courses I run.
We're joined also by solicitor Melanie Power from Power Solicitors, who's involved in medical negligence. Good morning, Melanie. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm just wondering here, because this is becoming a huge problem globally. We're seeing a huge rise in this. It's happening in Ireland. Is there Are there laws around this? Can anyone do it? What if someone does end up with injuries? Can they sue? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, so 100%, and like in our offices here, we're seeing a huge rise in inquiries of people having unsatisfactory results. So for medical negligence, that is the area of law that looks after medical practitioners who are providing medical treatment. And where treatment falls within that sphere, it's very clearly medical negligence. There is lots of case law around it, and it's a well traversed area of law. What we're seeing now in what both Patricia and your guests have been describing is a situation where we have medical treatments which are being provided essentially by non-medical people outside of a hospital setting. So there what applies is the general principles of negligence, so that there's a duty of care owed to a person, that there is a duty not to breach that duty, and that where damages arises from that are foreseeable, is actionable under law. There's also consumer protection available to people, but dependent on what the situation is for the person who has had an unsatisfactory outcome, be it that they have had to spend additional funds in having to have a procedure rectified, or be it that they have been one of the more unfortunate people who've ended up with life-changing consequences as a result of something that has been carried out by unqualified and poorly carried out procedures. That can result in chronic pain, necrosis, facial disfigurement. And where we have that situation, we have to look at what the product is that has been used. So, for example, Botox is a licensed medicine, and therefore it can only be prescribed and administered by a doctor or a dentist. And that if a beautician has been administering it, and there was a prosecution recently of a beautician who had been administering Botox in her clinic, and also for the unlawful import of it in the absence of a prescription from the medical professional. And there was a fine of €10,000 imposed on that lady in that instance. Yeah. So there's criminal sanctions for beauticians.
Melanie, can I just ask you very quickly there, if you get these products and something happens, but you go back to the makers of that and they say, well, I supplied you with a perfectly safe product, it's your fault that you did it.
Yeah, and I suppose, look, it depends again on what the product is. So if you're talking about Botox and you have purchased that from a website...
but if it was a Botox, like with fillers here...
If you're talking about fillers specifically, the situation with fillers is that it's a medical device, so it's not a licensed medical product. So manufacturers still have obligations in respect of making sure that the product that's on the market is of merchantable quality and is fit for purpose. And what I understand what a lot of manufacturers are putting on their warnings is that it should be administered by people who have suitable qualifications.
Yeah, but sure,
it's get out cards.
It's the internet and it's the Wild West, and we know that. Listen, Melanie Power, solicitor at Power Solicitor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I know you're calling for the government to get involved and regulate what's happening in this industry.
Licensed clinics, medical clinics to do this, and that's the easiest way to do it. That people would then know I should only go to a licensed clinic.
Yeah, because you don't think when you're that young.
No, but it is patient safety. It is ignorance, unfortunately.
And can I just add one other thing as well? I'm the mother of an 18-year-old girl, and I really wish that we were sending the message to young people that they're beautiful and perfect the way they are.
Well, isn't that the message?
Yeah. The article was done for the Examiner. It's fascinating. Ellie O'Byrne, thank you so much for joining us. And Patricia Malloy, who's a dermal nurse specialist and founder of the Dermal Clinic. Thank you so much, both, for joining us today.
Thank you.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
And it is a beautiful start down here in Tala Village in South County Dublin. We're just getting past 7:30 here together. Let's take a look weather-wise at how it's shaping up. And a lot of you waking up to some really nice sunshine out there this morning. Some showers, though, to top and tail the island, skirting right across southern Cork through parts of Waterford at the moment now. And there's light to locally moderate. South to southwesterly winds across the day then. It is that mixture of sunshine and scattered showers. Sunshine on the back foot later on in the day with cloud cover building. Top times fresher and cooler too at 17 to 20 degrees. And into tonight, it'll be dry and settled to start. Cloud building then through the northwest with plenty of rain sinking southeastwards as we tuck our way into your Thursday, and another cooler night in store too, with values back to around 7 to 10 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up for now. We'll be live outside Tala Athletics Club at 8.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
You're very welcome back. Now, gentle parenting is an approach to raising a child that involves using empathy and non-violent communication.
It's been making waves, has it, online? It's got a staggering 4.2 billion views on TikTok. Let's take a look at some examples of gentle parenting.
Ow. No, we don't bite, Mama. That hurts. Do you need something to bite? Yeah. Okay, come here. If you need something to bite, you gotta ask Mama. Say, Mama, bite. Bite. Yeah. Can Mommy have it, please? Mommy's going to take it, though, because it's not a toy and we don't play with these, okay? You okay? Come here. No, that's okay. We can't play with that. Do you want to put your chocolate milk in? Yeah. Go on then. This way, remember? This way, darling. What? That's okay. Uh-oh. Oh, wow.
What did you do that for?
To be fair, that's cute. She's a baby. What's she meant to do?
Here to discuss is child development specialist Alvin Moran and broadcaster and journalist Sarah Jane Tobin. Good morning, to you both. Well, Alvin, listen, you are an advocate for gentle parenting. It's something that you did with your 2 children, is that right?
Before it was called gentle parenting.
Okay, so
just
before
being
it had a label.
It's just
being sound to your kids.
But what is it then?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, it is. It's something I always advocate on. I've, spoken a lot about this, about you can't just switch on empathy at 14 and expect your child to just become an empathic child or a good communicator or, it's literally modelling the behaviour for your little ones and, kind of giving them a safe space, not when incidents like that happen, freaking out, becoming a reactive, so it's basically being a mindful, not reactive parent, because a lot of the time we are just reactive because we're busy in our day-to-day, and it's really just, putting a focus on taking a breath, understanding communication is key from very early on. And you could see in those clips there that actually the parents are communicating, because little ones, they have big feelings, but they don't have the vocabulary attached to be able to express
They
those
seemed
big
like very
feelings.
soft clips. Anyone who'd shout at a kid for any of that stuff, you'd be like, you shouldn't be a parent, come on. But is there discipline involved with gentle parenting? Because it feels like it's a lot of down and you shouldn't hit anyone, in their face sort of a thing, rather than going, no.
Yeah, no, there is. So there absolutely, and that's where there is a bit of a kind of, maybe people don't fully understand what gentle parenting is about. It's absolutely, there's boundaries, there's, there's rules, there's regulations, but it's all enforced, if you want to use that term, in a kind of more approachable manner. So it's not about shaming. So it's understanding where your child is developmentally, understanding where they are, kind of physiologically, what they can coordinate, that pouring one there, you'd be surprised how many people kind of freak out.
And when
you're, they absolutely.
Your day is so tired.
When
you have a long day, you're tired, and sometimes
you have a lot of people pulling out for you, and
something
literally
can tip you over the edge.
It can be the straw that breaks the camel's
Sarah
back.
Jane, from your point of view with parenting, do you believe that maybe a bit more of a firmer approach to kind of let them know who's the boss?
Yes, I do, in the sense that first off, I just want to say that there is no right and wrong with parenting, and there's so much pressure on parents these days. Like, even the very fact that there are different parenting styles now that are recognised as different ways and approaches is kind of, because it's each to their own. But for me, I personally think that, I would have to say that I think a firmer approach is necessary, in the sense that, you're just going to keep repeating yourself time and again. Personally speaking, I don't have time to be, you know, sitting down and doing the whole, like, when you're working mum and stuff like that, you have to be able to communicate firmly and with authority. And your child, I just feel, needs to understand that there is a boss figure, an authority figure in the household, that they're not the one leading the conversation, I suppose.
We'd love to hear from people on this, 0896 111 111, because I think everything involved with parenting these days, and an awful lot of time it's mummies, it's just shaming. And it's really, really, really tough. Yeah. But at the same time, people don't have an awful lot of time. So if a kid is playing with something that they shouldn't be playing with, right, something electronic, like, rather than going, please give that to me, would you just go, just take it off them?
Well, this is the thing, like, I think we're so caught up these days in, you know, focusing in on every action the child does is something to do with their emotions. Maybe they're just being bold because they don't understand. And to me, that's like, okay, sit down there, do what you're told. I'm going to show you how to do things the way that's acceptable. Like, when they grow up and they go into the workplace, they're going to have to follow rules and regulations. They're going to be spoken to in a certain way that they, you know, you don't want them to be taking things on board and taking it too personal. I want them to be able to understand that, you know, there is a difference between being told something is right and something is wrong to being, you know, criticised for, you know, them having an emotion. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's everything too personal.
Yeah. But the key thing, though, is that that's what, you know, like parenting is, you know, and there is definitely, in terms of gentle parenting, there is authority, there is rules, there are boundaries, but you're adapting them for every stage and age, and there's an approach. You don't, it's not dictatorial, and it's not, you know, kind of like punishing and punitive in a negative way, because as your child misbehaves, as we perceive it as misbehaves, they're actually just not understanding that in that moment, that's not okay. You can't do that. And it's using different terms with them. About,
do you think in this day and age, so that might raise children to kind of not be able to deal with whenever they go into the real world, that they don't get spoken to with empathy, or they don't get explained why they're being told to do something, and then all of a sudden they're kind of wondering, well, this isn't the way I was brought up.
No, because what it actually does is, and research has proven that it actually helps build their self-confidence, as opposed to the parent who's the caregiver, who, you know, will react punitively in certain situations, but they don't know why. So they're like, you know, and it shames them, and it puts them into that kind of like, I don't know why, what was the rationale for that, what did I do that was wrong? So they understand, but they're very able to deal with conflict then, because they don't see conflict as negative. They see conflict actually as something not to be afraid of. So they actually navigate that area much better.
I don't know, like, I mean, I just kind of personally think that if, you know, if a child is overly kind of empathetic all the time, you don't have to be an aggressor, you don't have to be an aggressive parent. There's a, you know, total difference. But I just think having an authority is really important. And I think, like, you can see nowadays that people are just, you know, everything is being led by the kids. I just genuinely think that.
No, but like in those clips, you can see where the authority is. You know, the parents still have the authority.
I mean, listen, this is why there is no right and there is no wrong, and unfortunately,
and a lot of it
comes
from our parenting. Like, how were we parented? Or, you know, in the good old days, you know, where we may have been parented as children are seen and not heard, and, you know, because we have our because we have our own
the wooden brush.
We have our own things, you know.
Because you're a bum.
Alan Moran, child development expert. Thank you so much for that. Very, very interesting. Sarah Jane Tobin as well, broadcaster and journalist as well. Really interesting. We'd love to get your opinion on it. 0896 111 111. Are not soft enough
at all.
We've loads more Ireland Dame coming up after this short break.
Welcome back. The government have announced more armed Gardaí will be deployed to patrol the streets of Dublin city centre in a bid to tackle crime and antisocial behaviour. Joining us with that story and everything else this morning is Jack Horgan-Jones from the Irish Times. Good morning. Good morning to you, Jack. I suppose this is only a positive thing. We're going to see an increased visibility of guards in Dublin city centre, which a lot of people have been calling for.
It's, as you say, it's certainly something that both residents and businesses in the city centre have been calling for amid this spate of high-profile attacks on tourists in and around Dublin city centre, in a sense that, you know, it is becoming an increasingly more dangerous or less pleasant place to be. So there has been a call for this upswing in a more visible police presence. And what Helen McEntee, the Minister for Justice, yesterday did was put out a release describing exactly how these extra manpower hours that have been approved are going to be used. So you're going to see things like the Garda Air Support Unit, the Mounted Unit, that's the horses, the Dog Unit, Regional Armed Response Unit and Road Policing Units, all with a more visible presence in and around the city centre. Now, I think that there is a fine line to be tread here, because I think while people definitely want to feel policed and that there is a policing presence, and that there is probably some validity to that whole kind of broken windows theory, that if you clamp down on minor infractions, then you get a kind of better kind of public order outcome. I think there's a balance to be struck. I don't think people necessarily want to see a militarised or paramilitarised kind of form of policing in town, and they definitely don't want to see things like, you know, guards carrying machine guns around the place. And I think it's important to note that the armed support unit will be in cars. They won't necessarily be patrolling heavily armed, and they're there to kind of intercept or intervene if there's a violent physical assault, a stabbing or something like that with less than lethal force. But there is a political reaction to this as well. Patrick Costello, who's a Dublin South Central TD for the Green Party and that party's justice spokesman, will be seen on the more liberal or left wing of that party, has said that this is an overreaction and a draconian response. And I suppose it gets down to that point, you know, when it comes to public order and you know, lesser or minor crimes all the way up to violent crimes, the question is, like, do you crack down on it? And do you kind of bash it over the head with a truncheon, or do you try and solve the underlying problems, the social causes of these crimes? And I think that all that is present in this debate about crime in the city centre.
So the argument would be, they've ruined everything by not having enough community policing for years, letting that fall by the wayside. They need to start building that up now. But in the short term, they're like, OK, we better get some lads on the street to kind of sort this out. In the short term, sort of a thing. We'd love to know what you think about this, by the way. 089 611 111.
Even though statistically the numbers of crimes are actually down.
This is actually really important. It's really important to point that out, because while this has got an outsized share of the voice when it comes to this debate, my colleague Conor Gallagher in the Irish Times has been consistently reporting that there is a marginal decrease in these kind of assaults in the city centre. It's important to bear in mind that
sometimes just when a few incidents gather a lot of attention.
It's not to dismiss the importance of those incidents, but we have to bear in mind the trend as well. It is slightly downward.
But it's 2,353 assaults in public places in Dublin to date this year, and that compared with 2,429 in the same date last year.
So
it has decreased, but they're more high profile.
And again down on 2019, which is the last pre-pandemic year.
Which isn't a good thing, but at the same time, it's like they were high profile. Oh, we better be seen to be doing something. It's a bit crap.
Move on to another story here. I see it's in the Independent. It's also, I think, something in the Irish Times about this as well, about the amount of pubs, and particularly around rural Ireland, I think, that are closing down. A quarter of them since 2005.
So
that is an awful lot.
The country has lost a quarter of its pubs, as you say, over the last 18 years since 2005. I can't believe it's 18 years since 2005. That's a bit of a land as well.
Isn't it?
But what's really interesting here, as you say, is the divergence between rural Ireland and the cities, and Dublin in particular. So Dublin, you're not going to see this story, you're not going to feel this story walk up and down George's Street or through Temple Bar, where only 3.2% of pubs have closed since 2005. Where you're going to feel it is in the more rural counties. So if you look, Limerick has lost 32% of its pubs, Roscommon 30.3%, and Cork and Laois 29.9%. I suspect it's not the large towns, it's the smaller villages and smaller towns.
Areas that the community is always around the pub, which is a real sad and a difficult thing for a lot of communities and rural villages, where people would have come together and congregated. It was a real social outlet, but since the likes of drink driving, obviously the ban of that, things.
Because there have been an argument. Remember, we always laugh. There's one main street, 100 people, and 20 pubs. You know that there was a natural contraction when people do leave.
We were probably over pubbed, more pubs per head of population.
That's what people used to always be like. The amount of pubs in this town. You know what I mean? So I'm
the
not
crack
saying
was
that.
good.
0896 111. It's a huge decrease. Now we're going to move on to something a bit frivolous. What do you think is the most iconic album cover of all time? It's been voted for, people. It's been voted for. Can anyone shout what they think it is? What?
Nirvana.
Did you know that?
Number one, Nirvana.
It is
Nevermind.
Nirvana. Nevermind.
Of course. The one with the little boy there. Oh, it's.
Look what's gone.
Boy or girl. There we have it.
They got rid of the little pee-pee.
We've obviously Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, David Bowie, Aladdin Sane, and it keeps going. Jack, you had an interesting one. What was your...
I have a whole unifying theory of album covers now. So my favourite album cover is Rumours by Fleetwood Mac, which has that image of Stevie Nicks and Mick Fleetwood on it. And, you know, obviously everyone knows that there was a complex love history between all the different members of that band, and that album is also about, like, you know, the complexity and difficulty of relationships, and I think that is really expressed in that album cover. So I have this new theory. It's an unbelievable album, yeah. I have this new theory where a great album cover is not just great art, but it encapsulates something about the artist.
He's got an amazing unifying theory, but we don't have time for it because it could go on too long, unfortunately.
The art and the artist. Love it. Jack Morgan-Jones from the Irish Times, thank you.
There you go. Text us your favourite album cover. We'll be back with you in Ireland AM in just a minute. Hello, welcome back to Ireland AM. It is gorgeous outside here today. We've got good grub and great guests still to come.
We sure do. Tracy, DJ, Tracy Clifford chats music memories, celebrity stories and discovering new talent.
And also, after personal tragedy comes perseverance. We hear from the Roscommon woman who has launched a community for those who are dealing with loss.
Love that word, perseverance. Plus, we have all the latest and greatest gadgets to set your kids up for success this school year that's coming up.
More stuff to buy for your children.
The old calculator on the ruler, can't beat it.
Nice one. Alan?
What could do with that?
What?
What, the ruler or the calculator?
What could you do with love?
We're talking about things here. I'll put that away. It looks rude. The one and only Catherine Layton is here to bake up a storm this morning. Catherine, what are you making for us today?
Sticky toffee pudding.
Sticky toffee pudding.
Traditional old-fashioned dessert, but very, very popular. And a caramel sauce go with it.
And I never knew dates go into a sticky toffee pudding.
Dates. Yeah.
Look at them.
Yeah. So we're going to add water to them, bring them to boil, and then simmer them.
Okay.
And
it's an easy dish then.
There are different stages to it. It's very simple, really, but there are just 3 different stages to it. So we'll go through them now shortly.
Okay, get your whisk ready.
Get your whisk ready.
Derek's running into some familiar faces in Tala this morning. How's it getting on? How are you getting on, Derek? He has the flag out.
It started off as a party for 1. I do indeed. Now it's a party for 7. Welcome down here. The sun is shining at Tala Athletics Club here this morning. Hazel, it's a big day for the club.
Absolutely. We're so excited. Everyone is getting behind Rhasidat. We cannot wait to see the final tonight.
And this is where it all started for her as well here in Tala.
Her home turf, and any time she comes down, all the kids come out and see her. So we're all going to be rooting her on.
So big excitement here in Tala. The same, of course, kick off her big race. 8:35 later on. Steve, come on, guys, adventure. Is there a party in your gaff later?
Yes, I'll give you the details later.
All right, there you have it. Back to you in studio. Woo, come on, Rhasidat.
We'll all be there.
You got a date.
Absolutely. Looking forward. Thanks very much, Derek.
You need to be chill to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Yes, thank you very much, Anne. We're live down here at Tala Athletics Club, right across the morning. Of course, Rhasidat Adeleke. It is her home turf, her big race later on this evening at 8:30 Irish time. We're going to be catching up with her former coach, Johnny Fox, as well as some of her club members here later on this morning. So that's all to come at 8:45. You can settle down now, lads. Anyway, we're getting past 8 o'clock here together. Let's take a look weather-wise now at how it's shaping up. And it is a dry and settled start out there this morning. A lot of you waking up to some really nice sunshine now as we break our way through your breakfast time, although we are seeing showers to top and tail the island across northern areas, southern sections of Cork into parts of Waterford as well. So stay nice and dry if you're living in those neck of the woods. Now right across today, in fact, those light to locally moderate south to southwesterly winds. They're in the driving seat. A pretty decent day in store to start. Sunshine slipping though as the day progresses, with cloud building through the northwest. Top 10s a bit fresher, a little bit cooler out there today at 17 to 20, and into tonight dry and settled to kick off. Then that cloud cover building through parts of the northwest, and we're going to see plenty of rain sink southeastwards as we tuck our way into your Thursday, and a chilly one out there tonight as well, with overnight lows back to 7 to 10 degrees. So that's how we're shaping up here in a sunny and settled Tala at the moment. We'll be back again live 8:35.
You need to be chill to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Independent. Its headline, Irish electricity bills are €900 higher than the EU average. Bills here are 80% higher than the European Union average, with prices of electricity in Dublin the highest of all the 32 capitals in Europe that were surveyed by the Household Energy Price Index.
US Ironman Group and Irish body clash over race status. That's the front page of the Irish Times. Both groups are divided over the status of the race, which began in rough seas on Sunday. Triathlon Ireland state the decision to not sanction the race was communicated to the US group before the race began, but Ironman contradict this, saying that they were only informed hours after the swim had finished.
The Examiner also covers this story with war of words over Ironman fatalities. Ivan Chittenden and Brendan Wall both tragically lost their lives after getting into difficulty during the swim off Youghall's front strand on Sunday morning.
The Sun also leads with terror and chaos on death swim. Cork County Council have denied responsibility for the death of the two men in the Ironman swim. The Gardaí said they are not carrying out a criminal probe into the incident.
The Star leads with no more running riot. The Garda riot squad, backed up by the armed police units, is to be deployed onto the streets of Dublin to tackle violent crime blighting the city, it says. The Garda chiefs revealed they will use €2 million, I think it's €10 million worth of government funding, to fully deploy the unit.
The Herald goes with boy saw granddad battered with an iron bar. A young boy was one of 4 people held against their will in a violent home invasion in Monkstown Monday morning, during which his grandfather was beaten with an iron bar.
Backlash over plans to make NCT test cashless. That's the top story on the Daily Mail. The NCT test is to introduce the new rules soon in a bid to cut down on the number of appointment no-shows at its testing centres.
And the Mirror goes with a public execution. RTE star John Brennan from the show At Your Service slammed Kevin Backhurst for his public execution of Ryan Tubridy, stating the broadcaster will lose public interest for the way it ditched him. Now, following on from one of the stories at the front of the Star there about the public order units and armed patrols going to be in Dublin, I think that police presence on the streets of Dublin is something that's going to be very welcome. And we had a message on that, but it's disappeared.
It was from a woman who lives in the city centre. She is in her 60s and she says that she's seeing open drug dealing, people openly taking drugs. She sees so many homeless people, people being robbed. Sorry that we lost the message. She said it's about time this happens. It is frightening in the inner city centre. And she also says that we have to try to help people who are falling into homelessness and drug addiction and catch them before this happens. Thank you for that message. We'll get to more of them in just a while. I think it's because so many people were getting quite head up about the gentle parenting.
Parenting. Explain what gentle parenting is.
It's about empathy and non-violent, but not telling them
you
that
can't
they're
say,
naughty.
don't
They're
do that.
Bold. It's getting down and explaining their feelings.
Would you ever say, don't do that, that's bold?
Well, I would,
you
because
say that to him
I'm
every
probably
day.
not
I
the
know.
most gentle.
But Aileen says, listen to this, as a primary school teacher and a parent, I see every day children not being able to deal with being told no. They have very little resilience when they come into difficulty and certain subjects. And if they're told they are wrong, it's the end of the world. It's gone to the point where the kids rule the roost at home and society is going to suffer in the long run.
That's very interesting, isn't
where
it?
we had
from a school teacher and a parent.
And we're hearing from teachers more and more that parents aren't on their side, they're on their children's side. They're not an advocate for being like, well, they're the boss. But the kid is the boss. That's very interesting. Thank you, Aileen.
An awful lot of texts in for people who are for gentle parenting. I've been doing this all my life to my children and grandchildren. I've reared children, grandchildren that are all polite, mannered, and still can stand up for themselves. I dread parents shouting at their children. You know, it's very mixed. We're getting a lot of messages on both sides.
I suppose you agree, like the majorly shouting at a child where they're crying. But I love Anne's one. Yeah, the rattle of a wooden spoon on the stairs worked every time. All it was the rattle of the wooden spoon, and everybody knew, quiet. If I was getting down to their level, I'd have spent 18 years on the floor with them laughing at me.
We'd love to hear from you. It's really
Scared the
interesting
life
hearing
out of me.
it from the teacher's point of view as well as to how they're dealing with it in an institutional setting. 0896 111
And going into the big bad world as well, whenever you don't get that sort of empathy from bosses and in the work environment.
Are you destroyed by it? Yeah, because you've been getting it. And we were also talking about journalist Ellie O'Byrne from the Irish Examiner was talking about buying online fillers. And Marcus says, my son has bought lip fillers online. In my opinion, his lips look horrendous and I can see them bursting one day. And these are the problems that we are seeing.
Goodness. Listen, we have so many text messages. It was a busy old hour in the last one, so thank you so much. 0896 111 111 if you'd like to get in touch with us. Keep sending them in. Now, coming up after the break, we speak to one woman who aims to break down the taboo around grieving.
See you back here very shortly.
You're very welcome back. Now, when it comes to grief, there is no rule book. But when Kathy Stritch realised some people often don't know how to deal with it, she wanted to do something to help.
So Kathy began Grief Retreats. It's a place for people to share their stories of grief and help each other navigate their loss. And Kathy's with us now. Good morning, Kathy.
Morning.
It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
Your own sort of grief, it's rather big because it involves two people in a very short space of time. What happened?
Yeah. So I suppose in 2015, my sister was diagnosed with the brain tumour, first of all. There's a sense of grief there, actually, because it was stage 4, so it was terminal. And after that, then she was 33 when she was diagnosed. Yeah, yeah, shocking. She was a healthy, fit woman. And then she had been doing well. She had her treatment. And then a year later, her husband, Pa, lost his life in an accident. Tragically, and you know that of course blindsided us, you know, just that suddenness. I was with him that morning and you know you get a phone call, so it was devastating. And then I suppose, you know, we rallied around my sister quite a lot, and they had 2 small boys. And then unfortunately, just after his first anniversary, she began to get symptoms again, and she passed away 16 months later. So huge grief, yeah.
And particularly, there you are with your sister as well. Yeah. I mean, and as you said, with 2 young boys makes it exceptionally difficult as well. You've spoken about, though, with your grief and actually having guilt around this. Where did that come from?
Well, you know, it wasn't just guilt solely. There's so many emotions that come with grief that kind of shocks you, really. You know, to be honest, I didn't have any guilt around, you know, my sister while she was sick. I was with her a lot. You know, it was the long goodbye, as I call it. And I had no regrets there at all. But I suppose the guilt kind of shocked me in a sense that I often saw the 5 stages of grief. And I would say, how would someone feel guilty? I didn't do anything wrong. But it's just, you know, it was like my nephews, let's say, I couldn't get down to, I was minding my child or whatever, and if I couldn't make a show or a Christmas play, and guilt, if I was going on my own holidays, guilt, feeling guilty. And then an awful lot of people talk about, you know, survivors' guilt is a thing where, you know, why did it happen to them? Why was it not me? That kind of thing.
I think, thinking about your situation, because I suppose we do a lot of, oh, sure, they were older, blah, blah, blah. They're so young. That has to be incredibly hard to deal with. And for, you know, parents of children who die, like that grief must be just compounded in a way that a lot of people can't even imagine.
Yeah, and, you know, I always kind of start by saying everyone is entitled to their grief, even if their granny was 99, you know. Grief is grief and you're allowed to grieve, but there's a certain element, I suppose, of trauma when it is tragic or sudden or complex grief or a loss like that. That's not expected or not the natural way. It's hard to deal with that. And that's, you know, the acceptance piece is hard when, you know, you feel robbed, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when something like this happens to you, and particularly when the 2 of them who are so close to you happen so close to each other, there's no rule book, like we just said, with that. How did you deal with it?
Oh, God. It was, you know, it was really up and down. I think for the first while, I was completely numb to what had happened. I mean, when my brother-in-law passed, I went into action mode, like, how can I help? Taking the kids, helping my sister. And then after that, you know, when she died, it was a very different grief because each relationship is different, you know, and the things that come with it are different. But I suppose for me, I'm a talker, and so I talked a lot, and it helped me. Not everybody is able to talk about these things. It's hard, but I certainly got it out. I stayed busy. I actually threw myself into raising money. We raised 120,000 to build a playground in their name.
Wow.
In the local community. So that was lovely. So busy, distraction sometimes.
Yeah. Because we don't understand. I suppose when you're younger, you know, you see a grandparent die.
Yeah.
And you see your parents being really sad, but you're like, oh, sure, that's just a thing that happens.
Yeah.
I don't think people really know what grief is until it knocks on their door and kicks that door down and you can't stop it. And you set up Grief Ireland. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so during lockdown, really, I just felt like I needed a place to kind of, if I wanted to post a picture like you just saw, without people saying, oh God, are you having a bad day? Because I wasn't. I just think it's quite normal to want to share memories.
Yeah.
You know, just because they're not here doesn't mean you can't talk about them anymore. So I just did a designated place for it. And I was shocked at the amount of messages and the growth of it. It was just enormous. It's a small enough community, but it's so, you know, interactive. There are people struggling. And also it was during lockdown, so I was conscious of people who didn't get a funeral, didn't get to say goodbye, couldn't go to their friends and talk like I did. And so, you know, we were all doing lives during lockdown, so I jumped on the bandwagon and just people were on, some people that were known, some people that were unknown, and, you know, people at home could hear themselves in those conversations. And I do think it kind of helped them a bit, you know.
And you've set up grief retreats as well, which had an incredible success. You know, in short 24 hours, I think you were sold out on your first one as well. What is a grief retreat? And, you know, is it just
it sounds very depressing. It's not.
Okay.
It's not, I promise. We have fun too.
Okay.
There's a lot of dark humour, actually.
It's all wine. Wine and crying.
A little bit. So my thought process was, you know, actually what maybe led me to do that was I was meeting people through the Grief Ireland page, and someone might tell me, you know, I lost my child or I lost someone to suicide, and then someone else would tell me, and I'd think, how can I get you together? Because really what you need is to connect with someone who gets it.
Yes.
And so then I thought, right, let's do a weekend and let's make it a retreat. So, and also on top of that, people really, you know, don't look after themselves. You know, a lot of people struggle with sleep afterwards, massive anxiety. So the idea is to get into nature. We go to the Toffee resort in Connemara, and it's in the middle of nowhere, spa. But we do things like meditation, journaling. It is difficult at times, but, you know, one of my success stories, there's 4 ladies who met each other and are now really close. 4 ladies who lost their husbands, and now they meet up. And to me, it's a success for that.
Amazing.
Because I think it's hard for the people around, right? Because your grief is your own grief.
Yes.
And there could be a sense for some people, if you are talking about it, oh God, she's going on about it again, I don't know how to deal with this. And that's not the other person's fault either. It's not their grief. So connecting with, like, you know, you can't feel bad if you're not kind of there every single day. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? If it's 4 years later, we have to understand that as well, don't we?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. But I think what it is it needs to become a normal conversation. I mean, you know, if people get, okay, I have to have this big, heavy conversation, but it doesn't have to be. If people can feel free enough to bring it up without someone going, oh God, you know, and feeling awkward. And, you know, if we're able to chat about happy times, if you want to ask someone all about their engagement, why shouldn't we know all about what happened? Because it is a part of life, and, you know, we just need to become comfortable about it.
And being able to hear how other people have dealt with it and their own experience may be a great way for you to learn how to deal with it as well, which is why you started your podcast, Family Flowers Only. Did you feel that that was something that's had a great response too? Because, you know, you're getting people to really open up, and I'm sure there's so many different ways that people have dealt with it.
Massive. I mean, again, I only started that 2 months ago, and the response has been huge. And it's about someone seeing themselves in someone else, hearing that story, you know, but people are messaging me daily, you know, can you discuss someone who's lost someone by murder? I don't know where to go. I can't relate to anybody. Can you discuss stillbirth? You know, it's trying to find hearing. It's very important for you to see yourself in somebody else. I suppose, you know, it's not like a role model, but when you hear somebody, you feel less alone, I suppose. But yeah, there's a huge response to it.
It must be very difficult for you as a host, having to listen to those stories as well. You know, having to, you know, you must come across some
I mean, yeah.
tough stories.
You can ask my husband. The energy just be a bit low at times. Yeah. But yeah, no, but you know what? I get so much back from it. And I'm comfortable talking, you know, to people. And I think it's only right that they should have their voices heard.
It's completely right that they should do that. I'll put you onto my mum. She's on RIP.ie every single second of the day. It would appear that
I get
it's there.
asked, am I on it every day too?
Continually open. You know what I mean? It's like, is that tab open again? Kathy Sturridge, founder of Grief Ireland. People can find you online. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And we're so very sorry for your loss.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
Absolutely.
truly awful.
And
Thanks so much.
Family Flowers Only, the podcast. Thank you.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're live here at Tala Athletics Club, right across the point. Coming up, we're going to be catching up with some of her teammates as well as her club members. On top of all that, we're going to be crossing over to Budapest as well, live with Will Dalton. So that's all to come at 8:45. Don't watch an inch. Now, slipping past 8:30 here this morning. Quick look at weather. A dry and settled start out there this morning. Plenty of bright spells as we edge our way into your breakfast time, albeit some southern showers now clipping in those light to locally moderate. South to southwesterly winds across the day, pretty decent to start. Then sunshine slipping with cloud cover building. Top times fresher and cooler at 17 to 20. And finally then tonight it looks like dry and clear, but then we're going to see that system of rain build through the northwest, bringing with it rain then into tomorrow with overnight lows slipping back to around 7 to 10 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up for now. We're talking all things Rhasidat Adeleke, 8:45.
Yeah! You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Now we've been treated to some decadent delights in the kitchen this morning.
Catherine Layden is here with her indulgent sticky toffee pudding. Good morning to you, Catherine.
Good
You're
morning,
looking fab
Tommy.
this morning.
Now, we start...
Your compliment.
Oh, thank you, Tommy. Thank you so much. I'm too anxious to get stuck in this.
She just went, sure, yeah, I get a compliment from Tommy Bow every week.
Shut up, Tommy, you
I wish.
Egypt.
Now, in here I have 175 grams of medjool grade dates, and into that I put 300 mils, half a pint of cold water. Now you turn that on and you bring it to the boil, and then you simmer for about 5 minutes until your dates are nice and soft. Okay?
Okay.
And that's what they look like. Now, we're going to...
I can't see it.
Oh, sorry.
What do they look like?
You'll see them in a minute.
Cooked dates.
Now, cooked dates, well, softened dates is what they are. We have 150 grams of butter here at room temperature. It is important that the butter is nice and soft, as you see here. So we're going to tip that in. And we're going to add our 175 grams, that's 5 ounces of soft brown sugar. 6 ounces.
You're dying to see the dates.
I want to see what...
Look at them now for a minute, because...
Like.
They just look... Oh, they look...
Oh.
Now, come here.
I wouldn't be showing anyone those.
Come here a minute.
Sorry. Oh, here we go. Oh.
They look like...
You thought they were prunes.
Mussels.
They look like mussels, don't they? Yeah.
Now, here we have the... That's your spoon to taste, Alan.
No, it's Tommy's one.
Oh, it's Tommy's one. Now, while that's creaming, I put my blender here in. You could use a food processor as well.
Okay.
And just blend it all together. And now that's...
No, actually, Catherine.
Now, don't be... Now, look at the two boys. Miriam, could you cope with this?
I think... Can you get those pre-made?
No, they grow like that.
In a can.
Get them pre-made. Do you hear him? Now...
Like already done.
Yeah.
To the cream, butter and sugar, we're going to add our 2 eggs, one at a time. And if the eggs are at room temperature and the butter is at room temperature, the mixture will not curdle on you. So there we have it.
Okay.
Now, to the dates that you're all laughing at, you add a teaspoonful of baking powder.
You have to have dates in it.
Yes, you do. That's what makes a sticky toffee pudding.
Okay.
Okay? Now...
What do you mean that's what makes it? Like...
That's what makes it nice and moist.
I thought it was the toffee that makes it sticky.
That's what makes... There's no toffee in it.
It's not.
No.
There's no toffee in it.
No, it's called sticky toffee pudding, but there's no toffee in it. There's a caramel sauce on it afterwards. Okay.
I never knew that.
You learn something new every day. Now, when you add the baking powder to the dates, they swell up a bit.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
See?
Oh, it's getting bigger as we look. See?
Swelling up, yeah, exactly. Now, we just lift that up, take our scraper or our spatula, scoop the sides of the bowl, and then into that we're going to put our 175 grams, that's 6 ounces of self-raising flour, and our dates.
Toffee dates. And sticks.
Now we've used that, so everything we use to the other side. Now here I'm using, you could use the seeds of a vanilla pod, or you can use vanilla paste or vanilla extract.
And what's that?
So just the seeds from the vanilla
That
pod.
is the seeds.
What are you guys laughing
No, I'm
at?
asking her what is that? You're saying you can use 3 of them. I'm wondering what that one was.
No, this... Forgot, look at them laughing. Here we go. Now just combine these ingredients together.
It's smoking.
Smoking is right. In this goes next.
When do you add the toffee in?
At the end. Well, you're gassed too, if you know that. We can't let them loose at all, this pair.
Sorry, Catherine.
OK.
I just never knew there was no toffee and sticky toffee pudding.
No, there's toffee in the sauce.
Isn't it?
There you go now.
There you go.
Now.
Learn something new.
Now we just transfer this. You could use a pudding bowl, or you can use a brownie tin. OK, so we just tip that in there now. And
How long
that's
does it go into the oven for?
30 to 35 minutes at 180 degrees.
Okay.
Now we'll have no waste here, we just get this.
Yeah, scoop her out there.
I'm watching the clock, Alan. Like you told me.
Yeah.
I think we'll get there in time, won't we?
Yeah, you've loads of time.
So there we go. Now,
very good.
into the oven, 180. And when that's going in...
And you can get them in little pots, like you could put them in little
You can put them in dairy-old moulds, yeah, or ramekin dishes, whatever
See
you
them,
want.
you love the sticky toffee pudding, and then you come out, the little individual ones, and you pour the...
And just
Now-
by magic, here's one you made
Here's the one we made earlier.
Right.
Now, that's very sticky.
And toffee.
And toffee.
Because of the dates.
Now, 30 to 35 minutes.
Okay.
Comes out like this.
Yeah.
And now, you pour a bit of the caramel on it. Now, to make the caramel, you put 6 ounces of sugar into a saucepan over a low heat.
Okay.
And you just leave it like that until you see it getting soft and golden brown.
You stir it?
No, don't stir it. Just leave it sitting on the heat. It'll go brown and get soft, right? And then...
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Drizzle over. And we're going to give you some of this with
Go
some
ahead.
cream.
Okay.
I wouldn't give him any.
No, he doesn't deserve it, actually,
Very
now that you say
bold
it.
Alan is today now, asking silly questions.
Can I have a bit from the middle?
Oh, merciful hour.
No, that's
Come on,
Tommy's.
pass me that one there.
No, well, I'll give that over to Tommy.
Hold the head now. Hold the head.
Hold the head.
There you go, give him.
Here's Tommy's spoon.
There you go.
The dodgy day.
And
The dodgy
here-
Thank
dates.
you,
The
Catherine.
dodgy dates here. Don't forget your cream, Tommy.
Oh, right, sorry.
You're like a bold schoolboy.
Now, Alan,
Thank you.
taste
I
that
love
now.
a bit of sticky
Catherine
toffee
Lane.
pudding.
Look at it melting on top.
Oh, absolutely delicious.
Oh.
Look at that.
Sticky datey pudding. Love it.
Sticky daisy pudding.
Catherine Lane, you're a star. Thank you so
My
much. for
pleasure.
that.
Thank you,
Delicious.
love.
It's delicious.
Thank you, Catherine. Now, after the break, Derek will be chatting to some sporting superfans ahead of the World Athletics Championships in Budapest tonight.
See you after
See-
the
Perfect coffee every time. Tassimo sponsors cookery on Ireland AM.
Welcome back. Now, last night saw a mixed bag for the Irish at the World Athletics Championship with Ciara McGeehan. She just missed out on a podium finish, but it was such an amazing race. She was fantastic. But also, both Sarah Lavin and Mark English booked their spots in the semi-finals.
Yeah, it was great to watch her last night. And of course, tonight, Rhasidat Adeleke is going for gold in what will hopefully be her victory lap of the Games.
Very excited for that. Joining us now from the heart of the action in Budapest is Virgin Media sports reporter Will Dalton. Good morning to you, Will. It's been an amazing couple of days for the Irish over there in Budapest.
Morning, folks. I'm not going with that. It's Budapest for me, and you can tell, Derek. It has definitely been amazing. Team Ireland have been just outperforming on every stage, from the 4x400 metre relay. Charlie Mosley, Rhasidat, Sarah Lavin, just incredible. And something I think a lot of people at home might not know is that some of these athletes aren't even full-time. Sinead O'Connor, who came 13th in the world in the heptathlon, she's studying for a master's. Louise Shanahan will be running here in about 45 minutes' time. Wait for this. She's doing a PhD in quantum biophysics in Cambridge. They are still able to compete on the world stage. So, yeah, Team Ireland have been doing amazing in my book.
It's unbelievable to hear that. Also, Catherine over there giving us her own commentary, Will, saying, merciful God, when you said that. So your job is in very bad order. Let's talk a little bit last night, because, of course, there is disappointment for Ciara McGeehan. But, my God, considering everything she's gone through in the last 2 years since the untimely death of her coach, Jerry Kiernan, she really proved that coming into the Olympics, she's coming into some serious form.
Wherein there can be no doubt now, she is elite level. She is one of the best in the world. It's a moment I don't think I'll ever forget in my journalism career, her coming up the last 100 metres. She just looked so calm, comfortable. We thought she was going to do it. But you have to remember, she's in a race with a girl, Faith Kipyegon. The commentators described her last night as the best 1,500 metre runner, male and female, of all time. This woman is just beyond everything else. Ciara was there matching her stride for stride and was just so unlucky. Less than a second between her and the silver medal position. She's going to be back, and I can tell you now from talking to her last night, Olympics Paris, get your money on Ciara for a podium finish, if not better.
Well, she really was fantastic. And it looks like the atmosphere over there, Will, is just amazing. Like, I mean, I think in Ireland, we all get caught up in a lot of the team sports. You think about the women at the World Cup. You've obviously got the rugby guys going to the World coming up as well. But there's something about Ireland, and you think back to Sonia O'Sullivan, Dermal O'Rourke as well. And there really looks like some promising, really exciting talents and things that we can really, really get behind with this Irish team.
Oh, completely. And Tommy, this is just the beginning. I can tell you now, over the next few, as we call them, Olympic cycles, which is like the every 4 years, more and more are going to start coming through. There was 5,000 session tickets sold here for Irish fans. I think there's just under 1,000 people have travelled over to Hungary and Budapest. Hungary's not essentially really known as an athletics, strongman. They've had some good field athletes down throughout the years. But the stadium here, especially when a Hungarian athlete comes out, I'll be interviewing somebody just behind me, one of the athletes, and I actually won't be able to hear their answer. The crowd is that noisy. It really is an incredible cheer. They've done a great job putting on these World Championships. And yeah, fingers crossed, this is just the beginning for Team Ireland. Paris, we could go even further, and then LA. Tokyo is the next one of these games as well. Brisbane in 8 years' time, or 9 years' time for the Olympics. Yeah, watch this space.
And of course, Will, tonight with Rhasidat in the final. Tell us, what time is it happening so we'll all be glued?
Okay, so you got to set your clocks for 8:35 for the women's 400 metres final. Sarah Lavin, by the way, will go in the semi-final. Before that, around 7:40. But Rhasidat, our hopes are kind of pinned on her. She's been in incredible form this year, winning essentially the college games in America, the NCAAs. She looks in great form. She was very comfortable in her heat. The semi-final was a little bit tougher. There's one other girl which we think will be her big challenger. There's a few other names in there too, but there's only one girl who's run quicker than Rhasidat. So let's keep our fingers crossed. This could be for Ireland's first medal of these games.
Wow. Looking forward to it. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Will. Of course, Will Dalton from Virgin Media Sport over in Budapest.
Yes, now the excitement might be building in Budapest for Rhasidat tonight, but the nerves are real in Tala Athletic Club, where it all started for it, and Derek is there this morning with us. How's the atmosphere building there, Derek?
Yes, good morning, guys. Well, not only is the atmosphere building over in Budapest, as you saw it, Will, the excitement is building here in Tala Athletic Club here this morning. Former coach Johnny Fox is with us, as well as Clive Johnson, the PRO Cecil. Yes, we'll kick off with you, Johnny. You're her former coach. It must be a very proud day for the club.
very proud for me and also the club and anybody in Tala. They're all very, very proud of her.
She kicked off here when she was a young girl. She was a nipper. She was 12. Did you spot the talent early?
Not straight away, but as she was getting older, you could see like she had the ability and she had the strength, and she also had what most athletes have are doing that kind of work. They have long legs, and she was strong, like, you know. And of course, the most important thing she has is self-belief. You know, I don't think anybody has ever beaten her twice. So that's a good omen for tonight.
It is certainly a good omen, and we're hoping for a medal tonight. In fact, she's the first Irish sprinter in a world championship in 14 years. It's an incredible achievement.
And it all happened here in Tala. We're all very, very proud of the achievements that she has done and what she has done for Tala, and the way she's a great ambassador for Tala, you know.
And it all started here on this very track.
Well, it started here on this track.
Piero, you were watching the race the other night in her semi-final. She was a slight bit slow, and she admitted herself out of the blocks in the first 200.
She was a bit slow out of the blocks, but I suppose you have to consider, you know, all the factors in that, you know. There's huge pressure on her. She'd come through the heats quite easily, you know, without a breath, I must say. In the semi-finals, she was a bit slow out of the blocks, but she did compensate for that as she progressed on through the last 200 metres, and to qualify comfortably, I think, in second place.
Yeah, she was in under the 50 mark, which is still a very, very decent time.
Which is a fantastic time, you know, for an athlete so young, with all the pressures that are on her at the moment, after, you know, going pro, huge pressures, with the, I suppose, the anticipation, not just of us, you know, but herself, you know, in getting there, getting to the World Championships alone was a major and massive achievement.
Polinka from the Dominican Republic, she's our biggest challenger tonight, I suppose.
There's no doubt in the world about it. Polinka is certainly the favourite going into this race, you know, and the pressures aren't on her. The world pressures are on Rhasidat here tonight, you know.
All right, are we excited for Rhasidat, guys? Catrielle, are you excited to see the race tonight?
Yeah, I can't wait.
You can't wait. What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, well, hopefully Rhasidat brings home gold tonight. From everyone here in Tala, the excitement is building. Come on, Rhasidat! Back to you in studio. Come on, Rhasidat!
Come on, Rhasidat!
Come on, Rhasidat!
Thank you so much, and fair play. It is incredibly exciting what's going on. Brilliant for the community.
So 8:30 tonight.
8:35, yeah, that's when she's going to be on, and you can catch all the action on Virgin Media 2, of course, with Will Dalton. Now, after the break, Tracy Clifford talks DJing for Diana Ross.
Love it, and we've got all you need for an awesome autumn night out.
And we've got the great tech to get your kids back into the school groove. We're back here shortly. Welcome back to Ireland, and there's still plenty more to come in the final hour of the show.
There is indeed. We're going to be joined by DJ Tracy Clifford as she talks hosier, headphones and homegrown talent.
Or to that, our gadget guru, Colin Baker, is here to help us get back to school. Colin, what have you got with us this morning?
Well, guess what I'm talking about today? Maybe gadgets for back to school, back to college. Do you know there's people that use just an iPhone or just their phone as a laptop?
What?
People who insist on doing a whole 4-year degree on a phone. So we'll be looking at maybe laptops that might be a little bit better than that, and also a small little portable keyboard to just save your arthritic fingers.
No, I
so we've got lots more coming up.
I'm totally doing my work. I'm not on TikTok. See, there you go. You're just like, I'm on my laptop. It's totally fine.
I struggle to read much on my phone. Okay, thank you very much for that, Colin. Look forward to everything else you've got for us.
Alan has found some seasonal style steals on the catwalk. Alan, what's coming up?
Yes, thank you, Miriam. With the autumn approaching, we're looking ahead at some essentials for the colder weather. Well, could have got much worse than July. No, not really. Justine, good morning to you. This looks lovely.
Good morning. Yeah, so we're kind of thinking of like weekend, evening style, but we're coming into autumn. So we're looking ahead at the season ahead. And you can see these kind of tones. They'll work now. They'll kind of work right up until Christmas. These beautiful reds. We've some fabulous dresses, jumpsuits, and some gorgeous boots as well.
You mentioned Christmas.
Okay, I'm not allowed. Too early.
It's August and she's mentioning Christmas. Okay, looking forward to that. That's coming up a little later on.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Thank you very much. We're live here at Tala Athletics Club right across the morning. Heat building here in the track, not as hot as it is over in Budapest. At the moment we're talking temperatures over 30 degrees there as we progress through the day. But out there this morning, it's a pretty decent start. You'll be glad to hear some nice bright spells kicking through as the morning goes on, with southern showers clipping parts of Munster to the southeast now in those light to locally moderate south to southwesterly winds across the day. Morning sunshine slipping. It's going to be that game of cat and mouse with sunshine and showers, cloud cover then building as the day goes on. Fresher and cooler too at 17 to 20 degrees. And into tonight, it looks like mainly dry and settled to start, but we're going to see that system of rain build across the northwest. That'll sink southeastwards as we tuck our way into your Thursday. Get ready for rain into tomorrow with overnight lows no lower than 7 to 10 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here as the sun shines down us in Tala at the moment. We'll be back again live at 9.
You need to be chill to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Hello, welcome back. On the front of the papers today, of course, there is reports that riot police are going to be put on the streets of Dublin. Government are going to spend about €10 million in policing the streets. After everything that's been happening over the past few months, there's been over 2,400, I think,
I don't think they're going to be
so
on the
far.
streets with their big machine guns, so they'll be in.
There'll be armed police on the streets, and there's going to be riot police that are going to be on the streets as well. And Marion says open drug dealing has been going on in the city centre for at least 20 years, as is all kinds of antisocial behaviour, but in most cases the guards don't seem to react. The fact that the American tourist was so seriously injured within a few metres of a Garda station is evidence of a lack of respect for the Gardaí.
Yeah, Kieran just said something needs to be done with crime in the city, and fast Dublin is losing a bit of its charm with every day passing.
Yeah, Lily is a 60-year-old female that works in the city centre. I'm delighted to see that the Gardaí will be used more. I've witnessed in the last few weeks open drug dealing, not just on the streets but in shops, robbing, assault, Garda abuse, open using of drugs, and a huge increase in homelessness. If this continues, our city is lost.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, our cities around the country.
I just wonder, how people around the country feel about it. I'm sure we'll be talking more about it in the coming days, because some TDs have said it's a draconian measure, including Patrick Costello from the Green Party. But we were also talking about gentle parenting. We had a chat earlier on. So gentle parenting is where you kind of get down on a child's level, explain to them what's going on rather than just going no and kind of walking off. And Catherine says, I was laughing at the story of the lady who rattled the wooden spoon on the stairs. It reminded me of a story of when my son was 3. He's now 27. I never smacked my children, but one day I was in the shop with my son. He came running down the aisle, happy out, with the biggest wooden spoon I'd ever seen. I asked him what he wanted it for, and he answered, "It's so you can beat us with." Mortifying.
Here, Mammy, here's a wooden spoon. You can beat us now. I love
the spoon that you normally whack me with.
Yeah,
this is,
exactly. It's a new one.
Donna said,
"That's amazing."
Mammy to a 1.5-year-old and a 2.5-year-old. Tantrums are a daily occurrence in our house. We find if we ignore the tantrums, it helps to settle them as they don't get the attention. We do have to be firm, but raising your voice doesn't help. So I will sit down and try to calm them down. Parenting is a tough job at times. It certainly is.
But Tommy, how do you do it? Like with your two, is it a mixture of it?
I try. Listen, there are times that you have to try and reason. Like with my daughter, for times she'd go off on one, and there's no stopping her in a tantrum. But you try to show a bit of empathy. But sometimes you need to be able to be strict with them and say, that's bold. You can't do that anymore. You can't hit your brother or whatever else. So it's kind of...
say bold. I know some people say, oh, you don't say bold. That's not a nice word. You can't have
a naughty step or a time-out step, all that sort of stuff as well with gentle parenting, because that's seen to be isolating them and whatever else, where we would use that and think it's worked wonders for us.
But there's the psychologists who tell you that the naughty step or the time-out has worked.
But there's no right
children.
or there's no wrong.
No, there's no right
that's
and no
exactly
wrong.
the way.
Yeah,
that's the problem with it.
But look at it, as you say, if it works for you and if you're a parent and that type of parenting is working and your children are growing up and they're lovely kids...
Big time. But then it goes back to the teacher who we did have the text from earlier on saying that now kids are at that stage, they're that never get told no, never told they can't do something.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden a teacher will say something to them, or they go into the workplace and they're told you can't do that anymore.
They find it's the end of the world, as she said.
They don't know how to deal with it.
Carol
So
says, my
it is
children
an
were
issue.
born during the 90s. If I was doing it again, I would do it a lot differently. I'd say no more and get them used to disappointment in life. Leave them with a little something of the birthday wish and help them so much, not help them so much with homework projects. Life is hard. We need to prepare them for disappointment. Not everyone is going to like them and think that everything that they do is great. We've got to prepare children for the reality of life.
I agree with that.
Very interesting, Carol. Thank you.
Thank you for those texts. Definitely was an interesting topic and got a lot of thought on it. Now, after the break, she's warmed up for everyone from Diana Ross to JLS.
She's warmed them up.
Like DJing.
She gave them coats and hot water bottles.
Like a physio. Like Tommy used to get.
She had them doing star jumps.
Did she warm you up before you went out in the pit?
Diana Ross down doing press-ups there.
Now she gets to warm us up. DJ Tracy Clifford will be with us very shortly.
You're very welcome back. Now, Ireland is a country known for its emerging talent, with the likes of Dermal Kennedy, Hosier, Ciarán de Crow achieving major success over the last few years.
And DJ Tracy Clifford joins us now to chat all about a new electric picnic initiative which aims to support new artists. But first, before we get to that, Tracy's going to warm us up.
I am.
Is that what it's going to do? So was it more like, do you warm Diana Ross up, like rub her up and down?
You
Is
get
that
a
what
hot
you did?
water bottle. You just make sure you've got warm hands. You know yourself, Tommy, at the start of a match.
Okay.
Was that it?
So we got that wrong. You didn't warm up Diana Ross or JLS by just making them do a few burpees. It was actually
No, we warmed up the
DJ
crowd,
sets.
obviously, yeah. I think it was this time last year. It was July. Diana Ross played in the 3 Arena. So to warm up for her, like just to get the crowd going and to play the disco hits, bit of a dream come true. It was amazing. Yeah.
Do you alter your set for different artists? I'd imagine JLS is a bit different from what the crowd in
But isn't
Ross
that
wanted.
the really good thing about being a DJ is that you're given a gig. It could be JLS, it could be Diana Ross, it could be the 2 Johnnies that I did at Christmas time as well. So you have to just play to the crowd, and that's always the best thing about DJing, you know?
The size of the heads on the lads when you go in later on today and you're like Diana Ross, the 2 Johnnies, they'll be like, thanks, Tracy, cheers.
That is true.
But honestly, getting the call, like, I'm assuming you're not going to get to go and hang out with Diana Ross, whatever. Like, you know that you're there to do a job. You didn't, did you? Or did
No, I didn't. Well, with JLS, you saw them and they came into the studio as well because I was on air that day. But with Diana Ross, like it was last year, like, COVID was still around.
Yeah.
Diana Ross is such an icon and we have to do everything to protect her. She had her own floor. So I was downstairs, but I did get to see her on stage then afterwards. And her hair glistens.
Glistens.
She has glitter in her hair.
You're
She's
on
Diana
the
Ross.
same side of the building as Diana Ross.
I want to go past the Diana Ross bit, but it is fascinating. Like, did your parents, like, what did they think whenever you said, like...
There's a funny story about this because I got my mum tickets for Diana Ross. I think it was for Mother's Day or her birthday. And then I got the call then to DJ and open up and do the warm-up set then, like later. So I didn't tell her.
Oh.
So then when I'm up on stage in the 3 Arena, I can, you just know someone's eyes are on you, and I look up and there's my mum and she's just like pointing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm still DJing, being like, hey, whatever. And the lip gloss and the hair was sticking and I'm like, and then like about 10 minutes in, I look over and both my parents are just looking at their phones, just interested. So,
are they not
Irish parents
texting
just
you?
bring you down.
Are they not texting you like my mum going, I don't like that song. Oh, you didn't do that great a transition. It's grand, just trolling you as you're like on stage doing your job.
Like afterwards, my mum was like, I don't know whether the crowd were into you. They're more here for Diana Ross. And you're like, of course they are. It's Diana Ross. Like, you can't compete, Joe. I love it.
Listen, there's nothing like the reality of your mum and the harsh truths that it comes with. But listen, that's what it's all about. I mean, listen, getting to meet Diana Ross would be no big deal for you because you literally have met the who's who in the music world. I mean, you have Stormzy, you have Ed Sheeran, you name it. You interviewed Lizzo quite recently as well, and she's going through a bit of a tough time, actually. Like,
this was a couple of years back.
To you as well, or what did you make?
This was a couple of years back. It was her first gig in Ireland. Like, it was her first gig. She'd blown up. The album had done so well, and she played in the 3 Olympia Theatre. And it was a crazy time. And we had a lovely chat. She was gorgeous. I gave her a tin whistle. because obviously she plays the flute and then she brought the tin whistle out on stage. That's my claim to fame. Like, Lizzo used my tin whistle out on the 3 Olympia stage. So, yeah.
Look, we have a shot of it as well. And she, no bother to her?
No bother to her. She played My Heart Will Go On.
Like straight away, she was able to do that.
Titanic.
It's nice to be able to do things like that and to kind of see. Sarah, I'm like, are we listening or we're not listening to her? There she is. But it's part of your job.
Yeah.
That's what it is that you do. But also we live in a very competitive music world now, you know, where the big ones, they get all the streams. New artists aren't getting that much of a chance. And it's hard when our charts and everything we play here, it's so packed with international talent. It can be hard for Irish artists.
Really hard for Irish artists, and it's because, honestly, sometimes we've so much talent here. I always think we've so much talent per capita in this country compared to other countries. And I'm working with 3 at the moment for the City Stages initiative, where we went around the country and outside the 3 stores, people could apply to play their music, buskers especially, to play their music outside 3 stores. We went to Galway, Cork, Limerick, Waterford, Dublin. People applied, and these fantastic buskers blew me, the rest of the judges, and the 3 people away. So much so people got to play the 3 Olympia stage with Self-Esteem.
Wow.
That was like, so coming from like a city stage to a main stage. And now the big one now is Electric Picnic. So we got to choose 8 artists who are playing the 3 music stage now at the festival now in a couple of weeks' time.
Amazing.
So, and the talent is unbelievable. So there are 8 individual artists. We've got like a rap artist, singer-songwriters, pop duos, soul singers, like every single genre is in there in this 8. They'll be performing across the weekend at the 3 music stage. And then on Saturday, at 2 p.m. If you're heading down to Electric Picnic, come down, it's going to be brilliant. Yeah. They're doing a special collaboration all together, showcasing all their talents, but on one big song. So, like, I just think that 3 has got, like, history of doing great things with music over the past couple of years. Remember Jafaris and Saint Sister, and then DJ Cormac and Circa
And it's different genres, which is sometimes at the moment you feel like it's all kind of this very American genre. But we also have to, like, you do push the fact, and everyone has to. Like, Dermal Kennedy was a busker. Ed Sheeran was a busker.
Yes.
Like, that's where they came from. That's what they did.
And I think buskers have this thing. I think there's a hardiness to buskers because they play on a stage, which is a street, where no one's listening to them. They're walking up Grafton Street. They're walking down Patrick Street in Cork. They're not listening to them. So they're not put off by that. So I actually think that these buskers who are coming to this main stage in Electric Picnic, they'll be good. They'll be great.
Well, was it hard to pick just 8? Like, what were your kind of criteria when you're... Look, because, listen, you love finding emerging music, and you must be proud whenever you pick someone and you think, oh, wow, they're going to really make it.
Like since the pandemic, like, there's even it's like as if the quality has just improved even more. I think it's like everybody had a bit more time to perfect their craft. Yeah. So I'm finding it more difficult, even in my day job in 2FM, to choose great artists to put on. Yeah. Talent here is amazing. So what I look for is a connection, like a story to tell. Like, obviously, people have got great music talent, great singing voices, or great arrangement. But if there's a connection through lyrics, that's what I go for.
And obviously, you're involved with the Choice Music Prize as well. You know, you're up on stage doing that. And we did see Sinead O'Connor, dearly departed Sinead O'Connor. She was there this year.
Yeah, she was. And, like, as you said, Tommy, like, I've interviewed loads of people. The only time I've ever gotten starstruck was when Sinead O'Connor came out on stage at the Choice Music Prize back in March.
Legend.
She's a hero of mine, and, like, I hate that word icon. I think it's thrown around so much, but she's a Celtic warrior to me. And, like, when I met her, she was side of stage with me. We were bringing her out to give her a classic award for Irish Classic Album for I Do Not Want What I Have Not Got. We didn't think she was going to arrive.
See, that's the thing.
She'd been through so much that year, the past year. You know, her management came. She came and accepted her award. The crowd didn't even know that she was going to be there. But when she came out on stage, I was standing behind her. I will never forget the roar of the crowd and the love from the crowd. Like, I mean, it beamed at her and she smiled. And, like, for that night to give her that lift for what she was going through, it was unbelievable. And I'm so glad we got to do it.
And for you as well, like, talk about having an inspiration beside you for that, but for you probably to not think she was going to turn up.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the many stories that have come out about Sinead since she's unfortunately passed is the kind-heartedness she had to people who would have never expected to have come so close to her.
Isn't it mad, the stories that you're hearing now, that she helped out so many people?
Yeah.
Like a proper philanthropist, but, like, didn't tell anybody about it.
Yeah.
You know, she... it's still raw, isn't it? Like, she's an icon, especially for Irish women. Like, when I saw her on television, on the Late Late Show with Gay Byrne. Like, we didn't have social media when I was growing up as a teenager. Like, you'd see an artist on the Late Late Show with Gay Byrne, and I never saw anybody like Sinead O'Connor with her shaved head. Like, she told or gave an impression to women like me growing up in the 90s. It was a different way to be.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
She was an activist rather than just an artist.
Exactly.
As she said herself.
Sad she didn't maybe get the support that she needed, you
Absolutely.
know, unfortunately.
Well, listen, we know that you've got the day job coming up in just a little while on 2FM. Do you dress that fancy in the studio every day?
Absolutely not. I'm taking this all off now, going back into the civvies.
She's taking it all off. She's got to get her... She gets warmed up as well by someone else. Alan Hughes, warm up the hands. Thank you so much.
Good luck with that.
Thank you so
Tracy
much.
Clifford, thank you so much for joining
Thanks,
us.
Tracy, and all the best. Electric Picnic.
Now, after the break, we are dressing up for an autumn night out.
And stocking up on a bunch of back-to-school bargains. See you back here very shortly.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Yes, Sam, we're back where it all started here in Talavillage. Just to wish Rhasidat, Sarah Lavin and all the other Irish athletes the very best wishes, the very best of luck tonight at the World Athletics Championships over in Budapest. Now, final look at weather, and it's a dry and settled start out there this morning. Some showers across northern and southern spots too. So do stay nice and dry if you're in those areas, in those light to locally moderate south to southwesterly winds across the day, then holding steady for a time. Sunshine slipping, that mixture of cloudy conditions with some light scattered showers. Top temps a little bit fresher too at 17 to 20, and into tonight it'll kick off dry and steady. Then that system building across the northwest, sinking southeastwards as we edge our way into your Thursday with overnight lows no lower than 7 to 13 degrees. Don't forget, live coverage kicking off this morning, and then the second session of the World Athletics Championships over on Virgin Media 2 from 5:30 this evening. But from me and Jason here on cameras, that's your final weather update now this Wednesday morning.
You need to be chilled to handle Irish weather. That's why Chill sponsor weather updates on Virgin Media.
Now, summer is slowly drifting away, but the autumn is coming in. Well, we might get some nice summer sunshine in the autumn, but it is time to change up our wardrobe.
Stylist Justine King joins us now. Good morning, Justine. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good.
Lovely. We're keeping it. We're going dresses today.
Yeah. So we're kind of thinking weekend style. It could be your dinner date, your night out with the girls, but kind of with an autumnal edge to it.
OK,
lovely.
Let's
Kelly.
kick off with Kelly.
Yeah, so Kelly's here in this fabulous look from My Kind of Dress, Irish online brand. The print is so statement here, so it's about keeping everything else really subdued. But it's the shape of this dress that really caught my eye. It's got beautiful shoulder pads, then it's got ruching across the tummy, so it's really good, you know, if you're a little bit tummy conscious, but it is still nice and fitted, and then the slit up the front, and then the full sleeve. So this is your great kind of party dress. It comes in a pink print as well, but I love that kind of strong purple, and it's all about having loads of fun with this look.
Oh, lovely. And you've gone with that. Oh, it's got ruching on the back and
the shape
front.
really is
So
absolutely stunning, and that comes in a small up to a large as well.
And as you say, the print is everything about this dress, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's just picking out. I went for the boots with this look, just to kind of give her that autumn edge. These are from Murphy's Shoes. And going for that kind of strong fuchsia purple. I think whenever I wear a coloured boot, people always kind of remark on them. You could do this with a sandal, but these boots are just real statement. You could wear them with your jeans as well.
Lovely jewellery.
Yeah, so the jewellery all comes from Lily and Rue, and it's all made from recycled materials. And then we've got a lot of pearls going through the looks. British Vogue are saying that pearls are back with a bang, but jewellery designers are getting very creative with them. So these are those threader earrings. So they're threaded through your ear, and then you can wear them as short or as long as you like.
Lovely.
It can be adjusted.
Oh, God, do you actually pull it?
You put it through your ear, yeah.
Oh.
Dental floss.
And then we've got this beautiful pearl large pendant, and that has a matching bracelet as well. And all of these come in a silver if you're not a kind of a gold person too.
Absolutely lovely. Kelly, you look great. We'll see you for your next look in just a few minutes. First up, it's Sophie. Next up is Sophie even.
Sophie's up in this gorgeous look from Irish brand Friday's Edit. Look, I love a wrap dress. They're so versatile. They're so comfortable.
Wearing
They're
a
really
wrap dress this morning.
So versatile.
Versatile.
So comfortable.
So comfortable.
Easy to wear. And this is a gorgeous satin. It's got that kind of geometric print, and then it's a lovely length as well. So I do think you could kind of dress this one up or down. You could wear a little cami top underneath it if you wanted to as as well. Again, that comes in a small to a large, but it is a little bit small fitting. So I would say to people, if you're between sizes, go for the bigger size.
Okay.
And then it has that balloon sleeve as well. But this is a really elegant one. You could add your own belt to it too. Those beautiful blue colours going through it as well.
Is it just in this colour?
Just in that, yeah.
Okay,
And just that print as well.
And we talk
And
about
the
these
shoes.
shoes.
Aren't they stunning?
Love
yeah,
them. They're
very
navy.
70s. Yeah, navy.
Yeah.
They do come in a black as well, but the navy suede, I think these as your kind of party shoe for the season ahead. They're just stunning. Big platform means they are comfortable. They're by the brand Unisas. They kind of pride themselves on their comfort, and then they have that strap around the ankle for extra support.
I love them.
Super
They're
high, but they do have the platforms. They are going to be comfortable.
So you'd be there 7 foot in them.
I know. I remember I wore a pair of platforms. It was just you and me one day. He was like, get them off. He made me change.
The jewellery?
Yeah, so we've gone for these gorgeous earrings. We're going for silver in these ones. Now, they do come in a solid gold and a white gold, all of the ones you're seeing, but the silver diamond huggies and then those pearls are actually detachable. So if you wore them during the day, you can just wear the little diamond huggie and then you can add the pearl for your evening look.
That's all very clever.
Yeah. And then our choker here. So this is the 10 pearl choker. So you can see it's adorned with the tiny little freshwater pearls. And again, it's in the beautiful sterling silver.
So that's a set.
But they're not sold together. But they're,
right,
yeah,
okay.
kind of a lot of the pieces with Lily and Rue you can mix and match, which is really nice. Or you could layer this up with a longer necklace as well. Because it is that delicate choker.
Sophie, I love that now. I have to say, those shoes, are they comfy?
Yeah, they're actually
Oh, wow.
Yeah, good. They're actually lovely. They're not bad. That's good for a model. Support there. Sophie, thank you so much. A lot of support for those was there. Karina is here with our third look today.
Yes, a beautiful dress here. And this is from the Irish brand KC Dresses, who are exclusively online. Beautiful ombre dress. So comfortable to wear. Karina was just remarking about that. How comfortable it is with the bow across the front as well. Again, really flattering on the tummy. Again, it has that kind of balloon sleeve and then the pleating. And I love that it goes from orange right down to kind of red and then into wine.
Yeah.
So it means in terms of matching it up, you could kind of go for any of those colours, or you could go for like a gold sandal. Really easy to wear. And I do think I mentioned that earlier, the dreaded C word, but I do think coming up to Christmas, this could even work, but it's going to work now too. It's kind of a year-round dress. And yeah, elasticated as well, and no zips or buttons, so there's no kind of messing with it.
Okay.
Normally when I hear the C word, Martin King
Christmas.
gives me a countdown to how many days.
Oh,
We
yeah,
don't have that yet. No.
It's a long way away.
It's a long way away,
Longevity
okay.
with our
I
wardrobe.
love that. So you've gone with the red boots here then.
Yeah, so these beautiful red leather suede boots, and they come in a forest green as well. They're a nice kind of heel height, you can see as well. So they're good for your kind of, you could last the day in those, and a nice gel insole as well in those. So I have a pair of red boots, and honestly, every time I wear them, often on this show, the amount of people that remark on them, because any dress that has a little bit of red in it, it just makes it pop, or even an all black look. So our beautiful jewellery then, we'll start with the earrings here. They're 18 karat gold plated. They're kind of a thicker square hoop. Again, the freshwater pearl can be taken off them. So easy kind of day to night. You have your simple hoop during the day and then add your little bit of pearl in the evening.
And the neck,
and
you've
then
got a
I've
couple of
layered
necklaces.
up. Yeah, so these are both solid gold. They're really beautiful pieces. The shorter one there just has a little initial on it. Obviously, you can get any initial or you can add extra initials.
Are they
if you
two
wanted.
separate ones or are they
Two separate?
Oh, they
yeah.
are two
So if you wanted all your children's names, you can get all the initials. And then we have the solid gold St. Christopher's necklace. So of course, that's a symbol of good luck and protection. And this one, Una Healy, our very own Una Healy, is a fan of this one, so she's been seeing that.
Oh, she's been seeing it.
Yeah.
Spotted out and about. Karina, thank you so much for that. Cheers. And we're going to go for our last look today. Kelly is
changed
back.
it up a little bit.
Yeah, so another gorgeous look from KC Dresses. What I love about this jacket is it's that kind of very classic boucle in style, but then it's the kind of bomber effect. So it's kind of mixing modern and classic.
So the bomber's staying?
The bomber's very much staying,
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
but this
Yep.
is kind of a classic take on it. And then the big oversized gold buttons. This looks great because you could wear this to the office, I think, but you could also wear it for your kind of evening out. You could wear that bomber with absolutely anything. It is available in a small, medium, large, but this one is a nice, generous fit. So your large is going to fit kind of a 16 up to an 18.
Right. Just
in
a
that
lovely
suit.
shirt. Is
It's actually a jumpsuit underneath that. Yeah, Kelly can pop off the jacket maybe. Just to show that jumpsuit, it's really stretchy material, so it's a really nice one for all day wear. And it comes with its own tie belt. We've added this belt from KC Dresses just to kind of really accentuate the waist, but it does come with a belt, and it is available again in a small, medium, large fitting
The
kind
belt
of
makes
8
it
to
now, in
16.
fairness. It's lovely with
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? And you could do any colour even in that, but it's a great shape and an easy kind of versatile. Versatile is the word of the day, but it is.
There you go.
A
There
jumpsuit
you
that
go.
would really work for anything. And of course, it has the pockets as well.
Now we're slowly seeing the sort of Victoria Beckham mid-noughties shoe make a
The heel
comeback.
making a comeback,
Aren't
yeah.
we?
But we're sticking to kind of the platform front. I guess that is the Victoria
That was
Beckham.
what it was, though.
Yes, true. In this gorgeous bronze. So this, again, it's going to go with everything. This is by the shoe brand Lodi, available at Murphy's Shoes. So it does have the gel insole too. So again, it's kind of combining comfort, but also that massive heel height too.
gorgeous.
And they're going to go with everything.
And there's so much, you've gone quite simple but very elegant with the jewellery.
Yes, I wanted to keep that kind of classic look. So the earrings, 14-carat gold filled freshwater pearls. They've got the 4 different pearls. They're really kind of elegant. You'd nearly miss them in that they're very minimalist, but then they're kind of eye-catching as well. And then the bracelet just matches really beautifully. The gold seed pearl bracelet. So you could layer this up with lots of different bangles or just wear it on its own. There is a necklace as well that can go with that look.
Lovely.
Lovely looks. Actually, they're really nice, aren't they? Very nice. And do you know what? At the same time, you could wear them now.
Exactly. So it's now and looking at the couple of months ahead.
They're not too dark, like going into the... Well, except for that, maybe.
I was waiting. I was like, everything was going so well. I was like, what's the one? There has to be something. Why is he being so nice?
Justine, some lovely looks this morning.
Thank you so much.
And I love that they're all Irish brands as well.
Yes, absolutely.
All Irish businesses.
Thank you so much. Now, Tommy is in studio. What's coming up next, Tommy?
Very much, guys. We've got Colin Baker here. We've got affordable gadgets and go-to gear for the new school year. That's all coming up after the break. Now, class is almost back in session, and this lesson is all about the up-to-spec tech that will guarantee less stress and more success this school year. Oh, you can tell I went to school.
Our tech teacher, Colin Baker, is here with his school must-haves. Good morning to you, Colin.
Good morning.
And I mean, it's like some schools are starting back today and tomorrow and this.
Yeah,
so
that's early.
I know it's
really
getting earlier every year. So we're looking at some of these things. What are we starting with? The laptop.
Do you know what I just realised? I've been fixing laptops almost every day of my life for the last 20 years.
Congratulations.
That's a lot of experience.
Congratulations. Yay. There we go. Round of applause.
Sad?
Round of applause for Colin, please.
All those years in school was well worth it. But what is amazing with that, Colin, is you've seen the evolvement of computers.
But do you know what?
I said to you with this, it's not very cool.
Yeah, but you see, this is the problem. When you have pink and blue machines, they're what's called retail grade machines, okay? They're designed to sell new as low a price as they can go with as high a margin as possible, which means they cut a lot of corners and they end up lasting a year, 2 years. It's not enough. It's not good for the environment, not good for the pocket, and it's not good for the punter.
So if you're getting one for your children or for kids that are going to university or school, something like this.
These are factory refurbished professional machines. So originally they're 12, 13, 14, 1,500 euro. Now they're 399. It's a much more ethically correct way to buy.
Yeah.
But what actually you get is much greater value because, I won't blind you with science, but they're more durable, so more robust, far more. They'll last a lot longer, between 5 and 10 years. They've higher spec and more features and functions, and they're better value, and you get local support here in Ireland. So it's a much better way to buy. Yes, you're right. It doesn't look as pretty as a nice, shiny silver machine, but ultimately, what is it? It's a tool to last as long as possible and be as reliable as possible.
Absolutely.
So that's the thing.
Good. 399.
And you know when you're hearing all these people are going, oh, I have to buy the iPad and all for the school books as well. You can't. This won't work.
Look, your computer is always going to be the centre of attention for your technology. So every school works with laptops because you take a Windows laptop, that connects to everything. It's the most kind of universally compatible device you can have. Some schools say, no, we don't work with iPads, we don't work with Android, but a Windows laptop is always going to work with everything you do in business or in school or in college.
This is very handy.
Yeah, this is something like, this is a gadget backpack. I call it my hack pack. And I'm a great believer, this is a life hack of mine. This is like a normal...
It's very light.
It is. It comes with, obviously padded sleeves for your laptop, multiple padded pockets for your phone, your chargers, etc. Decent straps.
As most backpacks do.
This is traceable. This is trackable. So this little device here connects to the Find My feature on iPhones and iPads. So anywhere this goes in the world, you can track it to within a couple of meters. So if you lose it locally, like in this room, you can hit a button on your phone, it's a beep.
Can I ask you, can you buy this separately?
You can.
So this is nothing to do with the backpack.
This is a bundle. No, this is a bundle I put together with a tracking device and a little flashing neon thing here. So I kind of think if you have something like this, which
what's that? You crash I see or something like that.
No, but if you're in the winter and you're walking at night on the streets,
all right, people see
they
you.
need to be visible. I've seen so many people going around on scooters and bikes with no lights.
Very good.
And it's ridiculous.
So when you say you've put this together, this is what you're doing in your place.
I carry a a hack pack everywhere with me. I do not leave home without it. I have a flashy light on the side, I have a tracking device on it, and I put this together because people carry laptops and valuable equipment, and then when it gets robbed, which frequently it does, as we talked about earlier with crime, it's traceable and trackable.
You can knock on their door.
Exactly. And
how much is it?
That's $79 all in for the bundle.
From your shop?
From Back from the Future.
This one is
divisive.
very interesting. Very expensive. It's basically a notepad.
Look, the way Curry's gave this to me for free. I wouldn't have bought it for €519. I wasn't prepared to risk that amount of money in case I didn't like it. But you know what? I wouldn't give it back.
What is it?
It's a notebook on steroids. I do write notes every day. I find I'm far more creative with a pen. It's a digital writing pad.
Signature is who there?
It does not. Think of it as 100 very effective notebooks and calendars. You've got different templates you can use. It'll synchronise with the cloud as well, so you've got it backed up permanently. The battery life is phenomenal. I got it 2 weeks ago and I haven't charged it, and it's still working away. You can't do anything. You can't browse the internet. You can't check your email. There's no backlight.
But it's all about whatever you write. All your notes, you
away.
can
It
save.
feels like paper.
But you can save. You save it then.
You don't even have to
there.
save it. It's saved automatically, so you don't have to click save. It's always.
Why is it so expensive?
Because it's very high-grade engineering. It's very, very decent equipment. I have to say, look, there are people that will hate this and will say, I'd rather an iPad, it does a million things more. But the point here is the purity, as you said earlier, Tommy. That the idea that you're not getting... Nowadays, we're overly interrupted by notifications and other features on our phone and our tablet. This allows you to think and organise yourself clearly.
So is this the equivalent of, say, having 10 notepads that you have built in all your notes?
It's the equivalent of having 80 notepads.
80 notepads.
That is synchronised across your devices as well, so it's always backed up. So if you do lose that notepad, it's there.
It's there.
It is a notepad on steroids.
How much would an iPad, the cheapest iPad that you can write on it?
Cheaper than that.
So
sorry, you're right. About €400 plus a pencil, about the same type of money.
So you could get an iPad that you can watch Netflix, you can do your emails, a whole lot. But the thing is with this, it's simple and people just like to be able to...
You know what, it's hard to explain until you use it, but its party trick is its simplicity.
Yeah.
And I'm a functionality fiend, but ultimately I like the fact that I can get more done on that.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Keypad.
A foldable keypad.
Do you know what? We said this earlier. Some people are absolutely fixated on using their phone instead of a laptop. Some people do. I have a friend who got through a whole law degree using their phone.
Wow.
And I don't recommend it because your arthritic fingers of the future will be upset with you. But this is a fold-out Bluetooth keyboard that connects to any device.
So it's a Bluetooth that immediately connects to your phone, or to
your iPad,
laptop.
your tablet, your laptop, even a telly. That'll connect to a smart TV as well. Wirelessly. But it's a proper, full QWERTY keyboard with proper travel on the keys, so it's easy to type on. You've a trackpad on the side as well, so if you want to use a mouse feature, you can. And it's €49, so it's inexpensive. It's rechargeable as well, so you don't need to replace batteries. And if you do insist on using an iPad or a tablet or a phone instead of a laptop, this is a great way to do it, but be able to type more easily.
Quite handy. OK, let's move on to a portable charger.
This is one of the best gadgets I've ever had. This is a portable charger that obviously it plugs into the wall, charges your devices, but it also has a built-in battery pack. So when you take that off, hit the button on the end, Tommy, on the front, it actually has a 10,000 milliamp hour, so a very decent power pack built in. Wireless charge on the side, so you can sit it on the desk and sit your phone on top of it.
So that would be like that, and you put your phone down on top of it without a cover.
Yes. But you can also, it has two built-in cables in case you forget your own. There's USB ports in the front for your own cables. Well, that's just because you're doing it wrong. Tommy, ruining it. Ruining it.
Very handy.
Very handy. You're not getting...
Just
not getting your freebie today,
plug
Tommy.
it into the wall, right? No, very good. Love that. And you can go on your holidays and you've all sorts of...
Oh, he's broken it. I don't believe it.
Oh, you've broken
it.
No,
I haven't.
You bought it. You've broken it, you bought it.
Again.
So it has the European charger. You have broken it.
It does actually, yeah, somehow, yeah.
You have the European charger and the US charger.
It does come with a European 2-pin and the US, so it plugs in anywhere in the world. It has your portable battery pack. It has the built-in spare cable. So if you do travel around and if you're a student, like, God knows, we all run out of charge by lunchtime.
If people want to find out more, Back to the Future.
backfromthefuture.ie or Gadget Guy Colin on Instagram.
Lovely stuff. Colin Baker, as ever, thank you
Thank you for that. And I'll take the €50 off you.
Thank you. Warren, save us.
Tommy's face once he's done something wrong. He's like, I have actually broken it. Let's just go through it. Oh, they're high-fiving. Now, on tomorrow's show, we chat to the Irish OnlyFans model who is in the top 1% of earners worldwide and says that the platform has transformed her life.
Oh, yes. Comedy king Neil Delamere talks podcasting and performing around the country.
And we're going to give you the lowdown on the latest health headlines. And I'm going to have to go off and buy Colin a new charger for his phone.
Did you really break it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much broken.
We'll see you
Remember
tomorrow.
tonight, 8:35, Rhasidat Adeleke is going to be taking part in that final. Virgin Media 2 with Will Dalton.
We'll be
best luck to
watching.
Rhasidat. We'll talk to you later.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.